Everybody, I don't know if you can like hear all of the birds and the beauty that is happening around me. It is turning into spring right now. Although it's February, the temperatures have been like 85, 90 degrees the past few week or two, and it's supposed to be pretty hot moving forward. So it's a pretty unseasonably warm February already, which means that spring is coming. We're ready to start planting all of these kind of like warm weather crops. And in Florida, you definitely want to take advantage of that as early as possible, because by the time summer comes around, it's pretty hard to maintain some of those sensitive crops. So in this video, what I'm doing is starting the spring garden from seed, of course. That's how I prefer to garden. So I already have a lot of tomato starts that I started about a month ago or so, and a huge variety. If you haven't seen what I'm planting, I'll include like a few links in so that you can see what I started. I'm super excited about the new addition to our garden. This is different than the part of our garden, which is a bunch of raised beds, as you can see here. What we're doing is we're going to do some in-ground beds, and this is a no-dig, no-till garden method. So what really made me confident in trying this is because here in this garden, what we do is kind of like a deep mulching for the actual garden, just like for walking around. And year after year, we kind of do a new really thick layer of mulch, and it's creating this super healthy like black dirt, black compost underneath. So I'm thinking, you know, let's try the same type of method here. Of course, this is definitely not a new method, nothing I've made up or anything like that. It's something that a lot of people practice, and I've seen that it definitely works. So I'm going to be trying this with our vegetable garden now and see how that works with zucchinis and pumpkins and watermelons and everything like that. So if you're new here, my name is Shelby, and I do lots of different gardening videos, homesteading videos, farm to table recipes, everything like that. So let's get started on planting the spring garden from seed. One thing I'm really happy I already did about the first week of January was I got a lot of my tomato plants started. So things like tomato plants, peppers, eggplants, those are definitely plants that you'll want to get started early because you want them to kind of take off as soon as possible. I'm really excited about all the different varieties that we have this year. Last year I grew about like 20 roughly tomato plants. I grew a few San Marzano Roma tomatoes, a few different like beefsteak type varieties, larger tomatoes, lots of different cherry tomatoes, and some spoon tomatoes. And this year I wanted to really double that or more. So I have 50 tomato plants, and as soon as I can figure out where to plant all of them, I'll probably be doing a whole nother batch of tomato plants, because what I want to do is, of course, really try my best at canning, and you need a lot of tomatoes for that. I just find it so interesting to grow all of these fun varieties of tomatoes. A lot of my varieties that I'm hanging from the cattle panels are purple and multicolored, and I'm really excited to see what it will look like. So really quickly, what I'm doing on my cattle panel trellises is I'm planting all of like the interesting tomatoes. So I'm planting like the Black Beauty, some cherry tomatoes, because then it will be easy just to kind of walk under and grab them. Basically the ones that will climb. And I'm also planting just any of the ones that are more eye-catching, like the black strawberry tomatoes, the pineapple tomatoes, and I think the old German tomatoes. Those ones I want on my cattle panels because I want the garden to also look really interesting and inviting too. When starting my seeds, I often place at least 2 to 3 seeds per pot, which can sometimes result in just one plant that has germinated and sometimes 2 to 3 plants that have germinated, which is why I wanted to show you if you separate them early on, it's no problem at all. Just gently separate them and you can plant the plants with no issues. So in this bed, I really like to grow peppers because it gets the most sun out of like anywhere in my whole garden. Over 10 hours of sun a day, and I feel like the peppers can really handle it usually in comparison to basically any other crop. Although peppers don't necessarily need that much sun, and sometimes they actually thrive with more shade, especially if you live in like a warmer climate. But I'm going to plant some of my peppers here, and a lot of my other peppers I'm actually going to be planting in pots. I planted peppers in pots last year and they did so well, and it was awesome because then I could overwinter them really easily. And certain pepper varieties like the scorpion pepper, like a super hot kind of like novelty variety, I would just rather plant in a pot as opposed to taking up a bunch of space in the big beds, which are mostly intended to kind of have like our garden groceries from. In this bed, I'm planting the purple beauty peppers, Tabasco peppers, the banana peppers, and a sugar rush pepper. I don't know how much of this I'm going to get done today because there's a lot to get done, and I'm currently 38 weeks pregnant, but I'm going to try my best to do as much as possible. I'd like to get all of the seeds in the ground, all the plants in the ground before the baby's here, which gives me about, 12 days or so, give or take. So definitely hoping that all of this physical activity will help me get the baby out quicker, and hopefully we can get most of the garden just on autopilot before the baby's here. Pollinators mix from my baby shower. It was one of the like little door gifts basically, and what I'm going to do is just sprinkle them on the top. I have 2 beds designated for flowers in the middle of my garden, and I like to just encourage those pollinators to come right on in to the center of the garden. So I'm gonna get these seeds planted, so don't forget to plant your flowers for the pollinators. Since planting these in the ground, most of the seeds have started to sprout, which is super exciting. I definitely encourage you to grab a mix and just see how it turns out. And here I'm quickly harvesting my cauliflower to make some room in these beds. I should have harvested it last week. Still super proud I was able to grow these this year. I'm gonna use some seed tape for lettuce in this bed. I've never used this before. I was gifted this, and why not give it a shot? It says just kind of dig in a row, and unfortunately I got the back of it wet, so I'm just gonna wing it and see what happens. It comes with these little like tape. It's like tape of seeds basically. There's a sandhill crane behind me. Super cool. I love when they come to visit. Okay, so I'm just unrolling this to about like the length of the bed. I'm gonna do 3 of the strips. There's a whole bunch left. And put it in the ground. Because of how this bed is situated and the angle in my big belly, I basically just had to toss a bunch of beet seeds in the ground and hope for the best. And so far, it's working out. Because this is my first time mapping out these long rows, I definitely felt like a kid in a candy store trying to pick all the locations for my vegetables. I am a little concerned with cross-pollination and getting some funky varieties from zucchini to pumpkin, but I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Alright, so I will be planting some small sugar pumpkins in this first row. The reason why I'm planting some of my vining or really big crops over here. Sorry, the sandhill cranes. Is because then they can overflow to the other, like the grass part of the yard basically. You don't need to just grow pumpkins for fall. They're definitely really good year-round. You can make stuff year-round, and they're an excellent source of vitamins and nutrients, and so versatile for cooking. I'm gonna give cantaloupes another shot. This is the Sierra Gold cantaloupe. Ooh, that sun just came out. And I'll plant too many in the beginning and then thin it out later. But I am separating like the mounds about like a foot apart. Here I'm doing a bushing variety of cucumber. I've never grown this variety before, and I figured they would be perfect for the long rows because they're bushing and saves me on trellises. And in this whole back, like kind of square area, I'm gonna do watermelons so they can kind of climb all over, go in the grass, and do what they want. My big rows in the ground are all seeded with all like the kind of big crops. That was no joke while you're pregnant. So lots of up and down. Now I need to plant just a few more things. Let's get to it. Not ready to harvest yet, so I'm just keeping them here for now. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. That's so exciting. I'm planting these runner beans, black coat, in this bed. They're gonna trellis upwards, and they're really beautiful just by the seed packet, so I have some high hopes. I just thought it was crazy how absolutely huge these seeds are. I really can't wait to try this bean. I'm planting these muncher cucumbers to go up the trellis, make it easy access, and I like how these are not too big of a size for like canning and everything, so they can be nice and crisp still. All right, that was a lot of work, but totally worth it. I still have about like half of my garden beds that need to be sown with seeds, so a lot to still get to this weekend. I want to get it all done before the weekend's done. That way I can just rest easy knowing that I'm just looking forward to things sprouting and growing. That's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Shelby, and until next time, bye.